mission!
Sir, you should see this.
Moth Gideon, you have something I want. You may think you have some idea what you are in possession of, but you do not. Soon, he will be back with me. He means more to me than you will ever know.
Back door. Back door. Manning, I know you hear me say back door. Open the fucking back door.
These will fit you, but try them for size.
Oh, the new Jordans! No, I couldn't take these from you. I know they cost a grip.
Oh man, it don't matter how much they cost, as long as it's from the heart. These are from the heart. All right? You know, put them on your feet. Keep your feet warm. Respect. Merry Christmas, man.
I can't believe this is not margarine. It tastes real great. Plus, it has Padre, Drata, Madra, Hydra, Glycer. That saves cows.
Mars, baby, you already know what the fuck it is, nigga. We set the president out here. You kid? You gotta be kidding me, nigga. Huh? Knock it off. Niggas following. Huh? Follow me, though. Yo.
Have a date to the homecoming dance.
A date? What's wrong with her?
Why is it so hard to believe that I have a date with a perfectly nice, normal girl?
Can't figure out why people don't come in here no more. Because you don't sell crack.
Could be because there's a negative flow of energy.
Or because you don't sell crack.
El lanzamiento en 2 y 2. Swing. Solo brisa. El guerrero lo pasó con la bola rápida y terminó la entrada.
Siempre hay Navidad cuando se brinda con ponche crema de oro. El verdadero ponche de los dominicanos.
El resumen de Brugal, la perfección del ron. 0 carreras, 1 hit, 0 error. 1 quedó en circulación. Desde la próxima entrada estará narrando para ustedes el compañero Santana Martínez. La mitad del partido, Gigantes 2, Águilas 2.
The only black man in America making $30 million. Are you a Democrat or Republican? I'm a Democrat. Oh, he sold us out, Rich. He sold us out.
Since this real simple sound confusing because how people don't understand it. Hold on, please, sir. Show some decorum. I watch this. So when you deal with this, right? When you deal with this Phoenician script, the Phoenicians, this goes a connection to the Hamitic people. The Hamitic people also had a similar script during the time of Moses. What Hamitic people had the similar script during the time of Moses? The people that call themselves ancient Cometians or Tamarans, who we today use the Egyptian word, called them Egyptians. And the Hebrew, they called them Misraim, okay? So now when we understand this, there was a similar script that Moses used that could be found on the walls of Egypt. So now if you don't know this, then I know you're not a Hebrew Israelite. Because this is how Moses was signified and dignified through those people, because Pharaoh went and took him, his daughter went and took him and presented him as her own son.
That's right.
So now that says what? Because we know the ancient Egyptians were black people. Not how they look today. So then what does that describe Moses and them being? As black people. So this Shemitic script connects even to a Hermetic scripts, okay? Of writing and language, which they don't teach nobody. So this is why I told you about this translation. So this is a modern translation. And any so-called Jew or so-called white man that calls himself a Jew, when they speak this, guess what they do? They speak something called Yiddish. And that Yiddish
excuse me.
I'm not speaking. Hold on.
That's completely incorrect.
Watch this.
That's complete.
Here's how we know.
Yiddish.
Risk being overwhelmed. There are a lot of governors who oppose bringing back these lockdown orders and forcing businesses to close. What do you think? Do you think more states need to consider taking that kind of drastic action and the kind of drastic action we saw when the pandemic first began, or can there be a more nuanced approach?
Well, certainly mask wearing has essentially no downside. They're not expensive. Bars and restaurants in most of the country will be closed as we go into this wave, and I think, sadly, that's appropriate. Depending on how severe it is, the decision about schools is much more complicated because the benefits are pretty high. The amount of transmission is not the same as in restaurants and bars. So, trade-offs will have to be made. But the next 4 to 6 months really call on us to do our best, because we can see that this will end, and you don't want somebody you love to be the last to die of coronavirus.
When do you think life will fully return to what we thought of as normal back in January? No masks, no social distancing, no other protective measures necessary.
Certainly by the summer, we'll be way closer to normal than we are now. But even through early 2022, unless we help other countries get rid of this disease and we get high vaccination rates in our country, the risk of reintroduction will be there. And of course, the global economy will be slowed down, which hurts America economically in a pretty dramatic way. So we'll have, starting in the summer, about 9 months where a few things like big public gatherings will still be restricted. But, we can see now that somewhere between 12 to 18 months, we have a chance, if we manage it well, to get back to normal.
And obviously we're changing.
If, in fact, a calculation comes to you that you are satisfied with, would you then say, I'm for reparations?
The answer is it would depend on what it was, and will it include Native Americans as well?
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No.
Why not target the African American community? Why not say then, this is for you? This is for African Americans. If there was a banking crisis, then you target money for the banks. If there was a national disaster, you target your money for the national for disaster relief.
That's not how America works.
I would like to think that it wouldn't take long for you to get the point. But when it comes to us and the Democratic Party, this is a point that we refuse to get. Now, we have to hold ourselves accountable for continuing to allow this to happen. But as much as it is our fault for being stubborn, it's more so the fault of weak-minded black leadership that has arisen post-civil rights movement. You see, after the civil rights movement passed and all the dust cleared and settled, what was left over after all of the assassinations and false imprisonments were the cowards of the civil rights movement. Those who were ready and willing to sell black Americans short for their own personal gain. And the weak-minded mentality that has carried over from the end of the civil rights movement up until this very moment is still prevalent to this very day. This is why from 1964 to the present day, there has been no real progress where it matters the most concerning the racial wealth gap. Instead, what we've received year after year is symbolism by way of so-called black leaders receiving token positions within government, making excuses for why nothing gets done. And here is a...
And of course, I was a Harvard medical student.
What about you, Mike? What did you think of Robin?
Oh, well, Chuck, when I first saw Robin, I was ecstatic. I mean, she had this really tight dress on, you know, the kind with the push-up bra, and her breasts were like popping right out, like hit me right in the eye, you know? And as soon as I saw him, Chuck, I said, wow, I'm in love, you know?
Sounds like you two really hit it off. So where'd you go first?
Well, first, Chuck, we went to this lovely little jewelry store where I allowed Michael to purchase me a very lovely ruby, diamond, and sapphire collection and a matching car.
Sounds nice. Did you give Mike anything?
Lithium.
It made me feel really ecstatic, Chuck.
Uh-huh.
Yes, we know, Michael. We know.
So, where'd you go next?
Well, then we went to the most beautiful little wedding chapel where my mother was waiting with the justice of the peace, and we got married. Thank you very much.
Mike, what did you think of Robin's mother?
Well, I gotta be honest, Chuck, I wasn't too ecstatic.
How you living, Biggie Smalls?
In mansion and Benzes, giving ends to my friends, and it feels stupendous. Tremendous cream, fuck $1 and a dream. Still tote gas strapped with infrared beams. Chopping O's, smoking line optimals, money holes and clothes, all a nigga knows. A foolish pleasure, whatever. I had to find the buried treasure, so grams I had to measure.
Just keep changing their names, by the way. The Rothschilds were known as something before the Rothschilds. And then there's this discussion that people like the Bushes are either Rockefellers or Rothschilds, and they all changed their names, so everyone's like, is everybody running everything a Rothschild? I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth, but when we say something dissolves, I think they just rebrand themselves another name. Like Time Warner becomes Spectrum. It's still the same piece of shit company that's fucking with my Spectrum right now.
They're a Jesuit company, too.
Everything around me, cream, get the money, dollar bill, yo. 22 long, hard years, I'm still struggling. Survival got me bugging, but I'm alive on arrival. I beat back the shape of the streets to stay awake to the ways of the world, cause shit is deep. I'm in with the dream, with plans to make cream, which failed. I went to jail at the age of 15, a young buck selling drugs and such, who never had much, trying to get a clutch on what I could not.
About being a rat.
Objection, Your Honor. In view of the violence...
Anything I wanted was a phone call away. Free cars, the keys to a dozen hideout flats all over the city. I'd bet 20, 30 grand over a weekend, and then I'd either blow the winnings in a week or go to the Sharks to pay back the bookies. Didn't matter. Didn't mean anything. When I was broke, I would go out and rob some more. We ran everything. We paid off cops, we paid off lawyers, we paid off judges. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. And now it's all over. And that's the hardest part. And today everything is different. There's no action. I have to wait around like everyone else. Can't even get decent food. Right after I got here, I ordered some spaghetti with marinara sauce, and I got egg noodles and ketchup. I'm an average nobody. Get to live the rest of my life like a schnook.